All right, namaste everybody. After a long gap, we are meeting again. So everybody please mute your microphones now, and in between we can discuss and do everything, because then you can unmute yourself. So I think Sonal, Sachdev and Sriram, Sriram, your microphone is also, yes, Sriram Devdhar. Shall I do it for him? Right. So in between, you can just unmute yourselves when we are going to have discussions, because I'm sure you will have plenty of discussions to do. The background that I want to say for this is that this is just for the benefit of the recording, that this particular topic which I'm going to discuss today on the Moon and Venus, this was actually presented on May 2022 at Ksanati Jyotish, and Ksanati Jyotish holds these little Jyotish seminars, and he had a love, relationship and compatibility summit. So where 4 or 5 people get together and they kind of, talk. So now what happened, the time limitation over there is very small, and hence, and I had prepared a whole huge thing which I could not present at all. So basically, first at the request of Vivek Samala, and then many of his batchmates, and then Guruji completely endorsed this decision and said it's very important that I talk this, and a secret of the tradition which I will share with you, one of the village techniques, and as well to look into Chandra Lagna a little bit more deeper. As Guruji keeps on telling us, Chandra is so important. It is not very easy to understand Chandra Lagna, so we are doing it in layers, and at PJC 5 now you can appreciate it. And before I start the Guru Mantra, one other thing, I apologize for not wearing a color-coded dress, because of lockdown, I don't possess any more clothes which are for our conferences and classes and etc. I need to make them again. So I don't have any more of those kind of colors. So I had to thought, at least let me take the Varesh's color. That's the best I can do. Okay, on that note, let's do the Guru Mantras, and we'll start. Om Gurave Namah. 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 All right. So all of you already know this, right? At the 5th year of PJC, that Venus or Shukra is the significator of desire. And he rules love, affection, marriage, romance, relationships. And in fact, he governs all relationships, not just relationships which are spousal in nature. For example, if you are working in an office and you have a small office like we do, or you have a project in your office which you are handling, and there are 4 or 5 people under you in that project. So if people have their Shukras in the same Rashi, or in trines to the same Rashi, then there is a lot of harmonious relationship amongst the project members. So if I have Shukra in Karka, then if people in my project or in my office have Shukra in Karka or trines to it, nature of the relationship will be harmonious. That means we look upon relationship in the certain same way. We look upon interactions in the same way. Now, of course, Shukra rules so many other things, right? But here, why did I just mention the love, affection, marriage, romance, relationship part? Because I do remember that this was being presented at the Love, Romance and Compatibility Summit. So hence that part of Shukra I was highlighting and not talking about Shukra in general. Now you also know that he is the primary ruler of Jala Tattva, all right, or the watery element, and he governs the tithis and pakshas. Now, one paksha is 15 tithis, and 15 tithis maps into 180 degrees, and 180 degrees is half of a circle, which comes precisely to the 7th house, right? And that 7th house is what we call Dwara or door, through which we communicate with the whole world. And the most significant one whom we communicate with through the door with the whole world is our spouse or our partner. And that is why that sign is Libra. Okay, and the sign is ruled by Shukra. Now, so it is this Jala Tattva which causes Shukra to be the significator of relationships, because Jala rules emotions, it rules affection, it rules love. So afflictions to Shukra are nothing but afflictions to Jala Tattva. Now, all of you again already know this, that the basis of our Shastric Jyotish is that when we see a Graha is afflicted, it means that there is a Tattva affliction. So when we say that, oh, I'm having bad Shani Gochara, or I'm having Sarisati, or I'm having Kantak Shani, what does this mean? It means that at that point, my Vayu Tattva is afflicted. So what do? Then I need to worship the Lord of Vayu Tattva. And who is the Lord of Vayu Tattva but Rudra? And hence, what is the standard remedy for Sarisati and Kantak Shani? That you must listen to Rudra and Chamakam, right? You must do Om Namah Shivaya, right? So you are bowing down to Rudra over there. So it is all Jala Tattva affliction. Similarly with Shukra, when Shukra is afflicted, it means that there is a Jala Tattva affliction. So not only do we do remedies, not only shall we do mantras, but we must ensure that the water is very well maintained, the Jala Tattva is very well maintained in the house. I often advise people who are doing Kamalatmika sadhana, to have crystal bowls of water. And sorry, there's been somebody said that they can't hear anything. Is it true? Can you all hear? Okay, so all right, so I would suggest that if somebody PM'd me saying they couldn't hear, it was Rodolfo, then it is to do with their computer. Okay, so they shouldn't disturb with that small thing. So now, we were talking about afflictions to Shukra as being nothing but afflictions to Jala Tattva. Okay, so yeah, I was saying that sometimes, let me just say this to Rodolfo. Rodolfo, everybody else can hear, so this means it's a problem with your computer. Okay, so please resolve it yourself and not disturb the flow. So I tell people who do Kamalatmika sadhana to take little crystal bowls of water and put petals in them and offer it. But that water needs to be changed every day. Water that's not changed every day. A swimming pool, if you have one, some people have their personal swimming pools. There, if the swimming pool is not cleaned, all right, if too much of leaves have fallen, if too much of moss has accumulated, then that is afflicted Jala Tattva. Okay, if water is leaking in your bathrooms, if your filter at home, water filter at home is not clean, if the water that is coming out is not clean, all this shows Jala Tattva affliction. Be very aware of water afflictions, because remember, water afflictions can also indicate health issues, because Jala Tattva is also ruled by Chandra. Now, What are the basic Shukra afflictions? All of you know what Shukra afflictions are. Shukra afflictions can be manifold, right? Shukra can, of course, be under a Kalatra Shapa or, see, oh my God, now Vivek is saying that he can't hear, but so I will say this again, since most of you can hear and one or two cannot hear, please do not PM me. You can PM your batchmates and sort it out, okay? Otherwise, it's just, I'm very sure all of you have some Venus problem. So, afflictions to Venus, as I said, can be manifold. And what are the many? All of you, again, very well know it, but I will just enlist it for you to refresh your memory. Of course, they can be Kalatra Shapa or a curse on Venus. What is a curse on Venus? When at least two or more natural malefic grahas have graha drishti on Shukra, especially Shani, Mangal, Rahu, Ketu, right? That curse is very strong if the eighth lord is involved. That curse is very strong if the Atma Karaka is involved, which means it's a past life curse. If it is also there in Navamsha, it is strong. If it is also there in the D60, it is even stronger. If seventh house has Papa Kartari, if Venus is blocked, in that Graha Malika yoga sequence, all those things are afflictions on Shukra. If Shukra is MKS, so many things. Now, two of the major, apart from Kalatra Shapa, that afflictions to Shukra can happen. One is the combustion by sun. The combustion of Shukra or the Astangata of Shukra is actually more problematic because we are taught that any graha that is Astangata gives us tremendous suffering. And I see people really neglecting an Astangata planet. So please don't do that. See the houses they lord. Okay, that would be, at least one of them would be the source of your suffering. So combustion, what happens when a graha is combusted? It means Venus has become very close to the sun. And so Venus is, the heat of the sun is too much. The Agni is too much when it is very close. And the water of the Venus has got evaporated. It's got heated and evaporated as steam. So there's no more water left in Venus. All right. So the whole Karakatva of Venus, the Jala, which is necessary for emotion, which is necessary for affection, of emotional bonds, that Jala is totally destroyed. So you often have situations, where at least, when we were growing up, you would have people that somebody has a boyfriend or a girlfriend and parents are not endorsing that relationship, then they would run away or they would fight with the parents and go against society and get married. Now, when people go against the advice of parents and society and friends and persist in their marriage, in their plans to get married, then we would say that the Shukra is actually stronger than Surya. Okay, but in the case where a person says, I'm sacrificing, I would rather listen to the good of the society, I'd rather listen to my family, I'd rather listen to my parents, then we would say that Surya, all right, Surya has become stronger. When Surya is strong, you think more about the society. When Shukra is stronger, then you will be thinking more about your personal needs. All right, because Surya is Sarvatma. Shukra tends to be selfish, will think about his own needs first. If there is a conjunction with Shani during these Kalatra Shapas, Shani Shukra conjunction can make the Shukra very cold. There can be frigidity in relationships. There can be a lot of lack of sexual contact. A lot of coldness comes in. When Rahu is associated with Venus, which is one of the worst association, it will make Venus cross limits. How does it cross limits? Either you cross limits simply by stepping out of your community, maybe marrying somebody belonging to a different religion or different community, or what it usually signifies that you are stepping out and you are involved with somebody who already is married or has a partner, or you yourself are married and have a partner and then you are involved with somebody else. This is a transgression which Rahu does when Venus is there. When Shukra is with Mangal, that is a rape combination. And even if the rape doesn't happen, it's of a very, very passionate nature that happens over there. But one of the very major afflictions happen when Shukra is associated with Ketu. I really discussed this very much in detail in the Tithi workshop, which I did with PJC OA. And those of you who've listened to it, you will know this. There I talked a lot about Shukra's association with Ketu. Ketu, you see, all other grahas are married to each other, but Ketu is married to the Lagna. So Ketu doesn't have a spouse. Ketu is a widow. So whoever Ketu is associated with, that becomes Shunya. Ketu, you know very well, wants you to be an ascetic. All right? And if you are not an ascetic, okay, then he will cause disruptions in your home, disruptions in your marriage, till things don't really work out with you. Okay. And so Jaimini has told us that Ketu has the power to destroy the Rajas Grahas. So Venus can be totally destroyed only by Ketu. Has complete power to completely smash Ketu out in the whole scenario. So the Venus-Ketu association is very, very important. That is why we were checking the conjunction of Tithi Lord with Ketu, or conjunction of 7th Lord with Ketu, because Ketu is the natural 8th Lord. All right. And when that happens, there is a lot of problem in the relationship, because Ketu doesn't want you to marry. You know, very interestingly, yesterday, I was doing the horoscope of a nice Russian girl, and she has Ketu in Lagna. And she says, oh, I really, you know, material things are so important for me. For me, money and material things are very, very crucial. And I'm really not into spirituality. But her husband is a TM teacher. And so by whether she wants it or not, she herself has become a TM teacher, meditation teacher. She doesn't want to be involved in it, but she's very good and she earned very well from it. So I said, you know, so you are doing Ketu's work, whether you like it or not. And as long as you're doing Ketu's work, Ketu's okay. It's a natural remedy for Ketu. And the moment you stop doing your meditation, teaching and all those things, Ketu's not going to be happy with you. And Ketu's going to then cause disruptions in your life. So now, when we say that all these afflictions are not there, somebody doesn't have these afflictions, somebody has a nice Shukra, maybe a little bit of, you know, we all have a little bit of affliction. So, but even in such case, sometimes a person rejects or is not interested in romance, is not interested in relationships. Why does that happen? So the very important factor that beyond all these afflictions is that the mind has to accept. How does the mind perceive relationship? Does the mind think that relationship is Swarga? Does the mind define that Swarga or heaven is when he or she is in the arms of the spouse? Does Sukha mean having multiple relationships? Or is the mind rejecting? So suppose my Shukra is not, I don't mean mine. Suppose somebody's Shukra is not afflicted, but yet the person follows Brahmacharya, is not at all interested, is not at all involved. That means the mind is rejecting. So that is why we have to see the placement of Shukra from Chandra. How is the mind treating a love and relationship? Is the mind rejecting it? Is the mind reveling in it? Is the mind enjoying it? Everything else notwithstanding. So we will have to see two things in a horoscope. First thing, of course, when you are examining relationships and marriage, you are examining all these things that we talked about, all these afflictions to Shukra. We are examining the 7th Lord, the 7th house, all those things. The Tithis, you are examining everything. And the other thing that you're examining is, okay, does the person have Parivrajya Yoga? Does the person have very high Brahmacharya Yoga? All those factors. But beyond everything else, the final clincher will be, what does the mind deal with? Is the mind rejecting? Is the mind accepting it? Okay. In order to do so, we will need to examine the placement of Shukra from Chandra. Now, you have studied Chandra Lagna last year in PJC 4. And when you study Chandra Lagna, what is it that you learned? You learned that the Kendras are very important. Where Surya is concerned, the Konas are important, right? And where Chandra is concerned, the Kendras are important. Because the Kendras depict the tides. The 1 and 7 houses will depict the high tide, 4 and 10 houses will depict the low tide. This ebb and flow of tides, whether high or low, is a whole flow of water, the surge of emotion. As the water flows very high, the surge of emotion is that much high. Even in low tide, that surge of emotion is high. So Kendras to Chandra are very, very powerful. Now, when we look at the Konas to Chandra, it is not bad. It is not like Dusthana, but it is not high water the way it is in the Kendra, but it is still okay. And then, of course, we have the Upachayas. So, with what are the Upachayas? Now, okay, before I come to Upachayas, we will do a lot of charts with all this, and then this will become clearer to you. In the Kona placement, you will see that the mind is seeking jnana. The nature of the mind is there to seek jnana. So Shukra, through Shukra also it wants to seek jnana. It is not trying to seek any sexual sort of fulfillment out there. Now, when we talk about Upachaya Grahas from Chandra, we are talking about Vriddhi and we are talking about Upadesha. For example, third house from Chandra, the Guru Upadesha becomes a very important factor. The 11th house from Chandra is called Chandra Vriddhi. Now, again, I would advise you all to look back into Chandra Yogas. So, Nathan, when you were telling Jaimini, little Germany will come in because Sonal Sachdev raised a very, very brilliant point, which I'll come to it when I come to that chart. But I will say that this is a very good revision of year 4 for y'all, because in Chandra Lagna, when Guruji taught, he has taught that the 11th house is Chandra Vriddhi. So a natural benefit placed in the 11th house from Chandra can give you immense material benefit, immense Raja Yoga. So my question would be that if Shukra is in the 11th house from Chandra, then that it should give us this huge amount of material benefits, isn't it? But on the other hand, how is the mind looking at Shukra where the karakatva of love and romance and relationship is concerned? How is it looking at love and relationship? So Raja Yoga it is getting, but is it rejecting or accepting love and relationship? Does the mind want relationship? You know, there are some people who can never stay married. They often get married multiple times because they can never stay unmarried. They always have to be in a relationship or they have to be married. Some people just don't like it. They don't know why, but they remain unmarried for donkey's years and are quite happy and comfortable with it. Okay, so what is the mind seeing it as? So 11th house from Chandra, a natural benefit. Shukra as a natural benefit is giving you Raja Yoga. But look at the other leg. But how is the mind seeing Shukra in terms of relationship and love? Not good, because the 11th house becomes the Hara Bhava. All right. Now, we will go further into it as we are doing the horoscopes. What happens when Shukra is in a Dusthana from Chandra? All right, when Shukra is in a Dusthana, you know Chandra Dusthanas are very bad. You know Chandra Dusthanas are called Tamas Chandras. They are really, really horrible things. So one tends to lead more solitary lives, more brahmacharya kind of lives when Shukra is in Dusthana from Chandra. Total rejection is there. A 12th house, Venus 12th house from Moon. Total rejection. Really not interested. Such people can even be married, but are really rejecting relationship and romance, you know. Okay, so I've got a huge amount of charts and we are going to go through them. Now remember something, you have to study the other factors, right? You have to study all these things about what the whole Tithi and 7th house, 7th lord, Venus, are they sharp over there? All those examinations, is it combust? You will have to see. You will have to see whether there is Parivrajya Yoga, Vairagya Yoga, all right? Because sometimes a Vairagya Yoga or Parivrajya Yoga or Brahmacharya Yoga, these yogas are so strong that they can override a lot of things. So after I gave this little talk at Ksanati's summit, I had a few people, and Nathan, your students from PJC, many of them, they wrote to me privately. I think Aditya, you too, because I think they may be having Shukra and Kendra from Chandra, so they all got completely shaken up, So I wanted to tell them we have to see how much that is fructified. This I don't need to come and tell you in year 5. We are learning principles in its purity, and then you have to apply, study the whole scenario. Okay, so now let's go into studying charts. Now, first thing that we are going to do is Venus and Kendra from Moon. And I told you that between 4 and 10 and 1 and 7 houses, the 1 and 7 house is the high tide. So let us start with that, the highest tide, okay? And so Venus 4th from Moon, I'll come back to it. I'm going to come from Venus and 7th from Moon. And we are going to start with the horoscope of Osho, okay? So you can see that Venus is in the first house from the Moon. Venus is with Moon. Now you can also see that there are a whole bunch of planets in the 7th house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Huge amount of planets. His Atmakaraka's Jupiter, his Tithi Lord is Mercury. So Tithi Lord Mercury is in the 7th house and is conjoined Moon and Venus out here. Water and water, it's too much of water. The focus is right over there. Okay. So now, this is the trick that I need to see. Now here is the Chandra Lagna chart. You can see these two white charts out here. So here is the Chandra Lagna chart, and in the Chandra Lagna chakra, we can see that Shukra is in the first house from Chandra. Now here the village rule comes in. The village rule comes in that if we say that the 7th house is the seat of all desires, all right? And if Parashara has also taught us that we must see 7 from Venus. Remember this? That we must see 3rd from Mars to see really about brothers, 4th from Moon to see really about mothers, 9th from Surya to really see about fathers, and similarly 7th from Shukra to really see about spouses and relationship. And as we started off with, that this is the highest seat of desire. All right? So, I am interested where Venus is from Moon. But what the tradition is telling us, what the real point of desire is the 7th house from Venus. So I will mark that with a cross, and I need to see that 7th house from Venus from the Moon. All right. So if I see where the 7th house from Venus here, Mithuna, you can put a cross, because Mithuna is the 7th house from Shukra. Sorry. It was a slip of the tongue. I meant 7th house from Shukra and not Chandra. So here is Shukra in Dhanu Rashi. The 7th house from Shukra is Mithuna. So give a cross on Mithuna. Now I will see where is Mithuna from Chandra. Mithuna is in the 7th from Chandra. Right here. We've done this for you. Okay. So though when Venus is in the first house from Chandra, it actually plays out as if it is in the 7th house from Chandra. Are you people following me, or do you need me to repeat this? Anybody wants me to repeat this, or you've got it? Yeah, thank you. Okay, Nathan. Right? So we said that the 1st and 7th house is they are the highest of high tides, right? So here it is in the 1st house, here it is in the 7th house. Okay, so you can see, and it is in his 1-7 axis. Now, I don't know, many of you, I realize, are not my generation, because, when about the time we kind of finished school, and I was in +2, about 17 years, 18 years, 17 years, 16 years, that time, this Osho wave was very, very strong. Osho was still in India, and he had a big ashram in Pune. So that was going great guns. So then I realized that many of you may not know. So see this quotation from Osho. He says, sex is just the beginning and not the end. So that should put things in frame for you. Now, he advocated free love, and he incited his devotees to engage in sexual promiscuity. sexual promiscuous behavior and participation in group orgies. So the ashram in Pune, the Osho's ashram in Pune, became very famous for group orgies and sexual promiscuous behavior. He said that this is a, how shall I say, that this is a, okay, Rudolfo, again, you know, when people are putting in the question, it's popping up and it is disturbing me. So Rudolfo has raised a question. So Rudolfo, let me say this to all of you, that the horoscope timings I've taken are from where there has been some issues, have been taken from Astro Data Bank, and largely they are A or AA rating horoscopes, right? And I think Guruji also may use this. And Guruji has also instructed me to use that even if that timing is slightly off from the timing he's using, but that when I'm doing, I should stick to that, provided that's a AA or single A rating. Where it is not a single A or AA rating, I shall mention it to you. So this is the horoscope which anyway of Osho, we have been using it for a long time. So there's nothing called, Rudolfo, that question from an advanced astrologer should not come. I think these grahas are in the 8th house should not have been your question. Your question later on should have been, okay, there are other horoscopes which is also, say, Karka Lagna, and where there is Karka Lagna with all these planets in the 8th house. Really tell me, Rudolfo, you think he is exalted Guru with Chandrashtama dosha and all these planets in the 8th house? No. His whole thing was about the 7th house. So if you're going to decide what birth time you are going to use, everything is there in the 7th house. This is very, very absolutely accurate, because he said that by fulfillment, it is some kind of a ajivika principle, that fulfillment of sexual desire, all right, you will actually then exhaust your desires, and then only you can progress further into a spiritual life. But what he did over there, he encouraged, and that encouragement for sexually promiscuous behavior was really enforced. Now, I have written it very gently over here, but it was enforced to the point of violence, all right? And that they had to participate in group orgies, and they had to participate in the sexual promiscuous behavior. There was absolutely free love. There would be a big hall where everybody would be having, sex with each other. And they would even apply psychological pressure and psychological manipulation for you to do that. All right. So now this is a very absolute case. Of course, like see, you can see all these things. If you see that, yes, it is a cursed Shukra, of course it's a cursed Shukra. This Shukra is very impure. What is a pure Shukra? A pure Shukra is Shukra who is exalted, right? And which Rashi is Shukra exalted? Shukra is exalted in Pisces, in Meena Rashi, in Guru's sign, because Shukra is aspiring for purity. All right, that's why people who have exalted Venuses in their horoscope have great problems in relationship. They often land up having multiple relationships because they're looking for the perfect god or the perfect goddess. If they don't find that god or goddess, they can't get married. And they are not very much interested in sexual activity either. Okay, that Shukra is looking at the purity, where the body is supposed to be impure, right? Sharira is impure by nature. So Shukra, we are going into that high level of understanding. Sharira is impure. Ucha Shukra people will see that. There are many of you in this group who have Ucha Shukra. Don't think I don't know that. Okay. Sonal, Gandhar, many of you have it. So this Shukra, of course, and the whole focus was on the 7th house. The Tithi Lord is also there. Too much of Jala, too much. So the tide, the mind is in the 7th house. The mind is involved with all these water elements and the dirtying of the water element. The mind is with all these things. So Tithi Lord is also the water boy. Remember, he's the carrier of water, because Tithis and Pakshas are ruled by Shukra. So Tithi Lord is like the seventh Lord actually. Did you know that? So you can say Moon is a water planet, Shukra is a water planet, and Mercury being Tithi Lord is also a water planet. I kind of wrote, I think if I'm not mistaken, his Nakṣatra, I think, is also Shukra's Nakṣatra. I was checking up the Nakṣatras also of all the charts. I didn't write it over here, but if I'm not mistaken, he is Shukra Nakṣatra, Purva Ashara, I think. All right, are you clear? Now, let's go to another first house from Shukra. This is a horoscope of Aishwarya Rai Bachchan. Now, here again, the Lagna is an issue. Now, I have been using Virgo Lagna for her, and I think maybe Guruji also does the same. And in Virgo Lagna, this whole Venus, Moon, Rahu will come to the fourth house, which I think is more appropriate, you know. I think she does have Chandra Shukra and Digbala. Look at her beauty, look at her career, you know, how she flourished in the film industry. So I think that the Virgo Lagna may be correct. This timing, according to Lloyd Astro Data Bank data, is rated C, which is not a good rating. So I think it was a Virgo. I would go for Virgo. I use the Virgo Lagna for her, actually, with Venus, Moon, Rahu in the fourth house. But it doesn't deter us from what we are trying to study. Her Tithi Lord is also, she's born in Shashti. So her Tithi Lord is Shukra, and I think her Nakṣatra Lord is also Shukra, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong in that. Now, here again, you can see the Chandra Lagna chart. You can see that Venus is in the first house from the moon. And because Venus is first house from the moon, we again have to, again, this is a Dhanu Lagna. So what is the seventh house from Shukra? It is Gemini. We mark a cross in Gemini. And where is Gemini from Chandra? But it's in the seventh house. Again, it's giving the effect of high tide. Okay, seventh from Venus. Now, I think I will just close the recording for 1 minute and say some things about her and then reopen the recording again. Somebody please remind me that I should reopen the recording. Nathan, can you please do that for me? Okay, we can go to the next. Now here again, this is also very, very well-known film actor, Salman Khan. He was one of the, beaux or boyfriends of the previous horoscope that we saw. He is quite older. He's about 65 born, so he's in his, mid-50s. And he also is a bachelor today, and he's famous for all his huge amount of relationships that he had. So you can see Moon, Mars, Venus in the Chandra Lagna. All right, again we are having Venus, 7 from Chandra. Huge, I don't want to get into details, but very interesting. You will see she has Venus, Moon, Rahu, so that transgression of lying. And here he has Venus, Moon, Mars. That energy comes in over there. All right. So the rest you people can see. His Tithi Lord, of course, was Mercury. Now, this is a horoscope of somebody who has Shukra in 7th from Chandra. So this is the Chandra Lagna. All right. And another thing, please note. You will see that their Shukras, these people are actually also the Shukras are very good. If I can go back, okay, this Shukra is in Makara and is in the 12th house. This horoscope, by the way, of Salman Khan has a single or a double A rating. So this time is pretty much correct. But this horoscope, I think as if we take Virgo Lagna, then we are getting Venus and Moon in Digbala, which is a very good thing. It's a very strong Shukra. Now, when I come into the horoscope of Zaza Gabor, all right, here Venus is in the 7th from Chandra. So here again you can see that Moon is in Karka. All right, again it's a very nice Moon in Karka Rashi. And Venus is in 7th from Chandra. So then I have to mark the house 7th from Venus, right? So which is the 7th from Venus? Karka is 7th from Venus. So put a cross in Karka. So it will be as if Venus is in Karka. So it is as if Venus is in the first house. All right, this is very clear to you. So whether Venus is in the first house from Chandra, the effect is like a 1-7 thing. And when Venus is in 7 from Chandra, then the effect is that they are together in the first house. But both, you can see, are very, very high tide kind of a thing. Now, Zaza Gabor was a very well-known Hollywood film actor. She had 9 marriages, plus 1 affair which was official. She had lot of relationships which are not quoted and talked about. So 9 marriages. She's well known for the 9 marriages that she had. Okay, her Tithi Lord also happens to be moved. So she got challenged where emotions and things are concerned. You can see over here the 7th Lord is in the Jupiter's in the 8th house, which means that breakage of relationships are pretty strong over there. Atmakaraka's Mars. Most of these people with Moon with Venus, Moon in 7 from Venus, having multiple marriages and things like that, you can see that the Venus is very badly afflicted. So you can see that Venus is conjoined Surya and conjoined Mangal and is 7 from, and has Drishti of Shani and has the Drishti of Rahu. So Shani, Rahu, Mangal and Surya. I don't remember whether Surya is combust. I think Surya is also combust in the chart. So Shani, Rahu. Actually, I had all those degrees out here, but Guruji had hopped in and said that why do you kind of crowd your charts for a presentation? So he had himself removed and made my chart horoscope plain like this. I hate it. I like all the degrees and aruras and everything to be there. So it's there in my normal chart when I do readings, but not for the presentation. So you can see that the Venus is very much afflicted. Okay, did you get it? Venus afflicted by Sun, Mars, Saturn and Mercury. The recording is on, Ramakrishna. Please, folks, unnecessarily do not disturb me because these questions kind of pop up in the middle and they are just distracting me, please. You can see from your end also that when the recording is on, you'll be see that this session is being recorded. A message will come over there. Okay, please don't distract. And Tithi Lord is Moon, so Moon is itself involved over here. 7th Lord Jupiter has gone to the 8th house, which shows that marriages and relationships don't sustain. Now, if we look back here to Salman Khan's horoscope, in Salman Khan's horoscope, we can also see that here the Venus is afflicted by Mars and is afflicted by Rahu. There is Mars and Rahu's Drishti and Papa Kartari from Shani and Surya. And if you come and see Aishwarya's chart, in Aishwarya Rai's chart also you can see afflicted by Shani, Ketu, Rahu. All right. Now, before that, here Osho's chart is also. You can see that they are very, very heavily afflicted horoscopes out here. Now, so in Zaza Gabor's chart, as we were discussing, that it's heavily afflicted. So 9 marriages she had. Now, next we come to Jennifer O'Neill. All right. Now, Jennifer O'Neill, okay, now we'll come to Jennifer O'Neill a bit later. We will now go back to doing other Kendras. So the other Kendras that I'm going to start with is the 4th from Chandra. All right. Now you'll see a lot of people has 4th from Chandra, and we start with Marilyn Monroe in this case. So what happens in 4th from Chandra? Here you can see Chandra Lagna horoscope. Shukra is 4th from Chandra. So what do we have to do? We have to mark the 7th house from Shukra. When I mark the 7th house from Shukra, it comes to Tula. So where is Tula from Chandra? It is in the 10th. All right, it is in the 10th house. These people, in their mind, they consider relationship and love to be Swarga. For them, it was Swarga. You know, a lot of people, there was a lot of hype that, oh, actually Marilyn Monroe was, you know, she only looked sexual and sensual, but she was actually a very frigid lady. That is not very true. Okay, she was not frigid at all, as you can see. Recently on Netflix, there's a very fantastic documentary done, an investigation onto her death, because many people think that, you know, the Kennedy brothers got her married. She was having an affair with John F. Kennedy while he was president. And at the same time, his brother Robert Kennedy was the Attorney General. There are two people here whose things are not muted. It's really so disturbing. Two people, I don't know who they are. Suman Gandotra and some caller who has not written his name. So caller and Suman Gandotra, can you please mute your microphones? It's very irritating, yes. And the other person who's the caller, I don't know who it is, they don't write their names. Next time, if you don't write your names, I'm not going to allow you in. Okay? That person is not even listening. And I can see that his phone is not muted. Anyway, just disturbs the flow of thought so badly. What was I saying? Yeah, Marilyn Monroe. Theo, Nathan. Oh, I don't know what he's up to. Nathan has disappeared. Actually, we started talking about Aishwarya Rai and all those things, so he disappeared. He can't deal with a dirty chukra, I know that. So, so in that thing, so Robert Kennedy was the Attorney General at that time of USA. So she was simultaneously sleeping with the President and the Attorney General of the US, but that was much later. When she was born in Los Angeles, and when she joined the film industry right from a very young age, she was also a child actor, if I'm not mistaken. When she did that, she was sleeping with, the whole casting couch concept. So she was fully into it. So now I've not written the names of the people, but these are pretty well documented. She had affairs with most of her producers, directors, agents, all right, sometimes actors who gave her fillets all throughout. She fully cashed in on a thing. So what we talked about, Bollywood now, that happened in Hollywood also at the time. So it's actually very sad. If you see her, it's as if, she thought that was the damn thing, that she had to do it. It's part of the job. That was her whole attitude. In the process, she also got married 3 times. Okay. So she had absolutely so many affairs. You can see that the 7th house also is under Papa Kattari from Ketu and Mars. Okay. 3 times married and innumerable affairs. Again, another Venus 4th from the moon, Wolfgang Mozart. All right, moon debilitated in Vrishchika, moon in 4th from that. So we are going to see the 5th house now. There is a lot of talk. I mean, when the theater and the movie Amadeus was made, if those of you have seen Amadeus, I've seen Amadeus both on stage as well as on the screen. It shows him to be a very lusty character, very, very sexually promiscuous. And he also got syphilis as a result of it. And he died at a very young age, such a brilliant man. But, brilliant men also have other things going on. Now, there's been further research that is going on now. And in this further research, what people are saying, well, we are not sure about his syphilis. Maybe, those conditions were like general symptoms of other disease. We are not sure about his promiscuity. So they are saying these things. If you have any doubt, you can look at the horoscope and you will immediately know that what is going on over here. Okay. Now, another Venus 4th from moon, Mahatma Gandhi. Now here again, very powerful Shukra and very powerful Chandra. As you can see, Shukra is Lagnesh in his own sign. It is Malavya Mahapurusha Yoga. Albert, it is afflicted by other planets, or sullied by other planets. And then Chandra also we see is very strong in its own sign, 10th Lord in its own house. Now here again, we will take Venus as beautiful moon and Venus as 4th from the moon. And then we will have to mark the house 7th from Venus. That is Aries. And then we will have to see where Aries is from Chandra. then that it becomes the 10 from Chandra. So all these people where Venus is in 4th from Moon, the mind, the point, high point of desire is they are reveling in sexual matters. This is the point, little point that I wanted to point out. They were reveling in sexual matters. They're reveling, they feel blissful in the arms of another man or woman, jumping from relationship to relationship. That is Swarga for them. It is total Swarga. Now, Mahatma Gandhi, as you know, that he wrote his book called Experiments with Truth, and he said that he wanted to examine his stamina and of brahmacharya by sleeping in the room with naked women. All right. But, very recently, maybe about 10 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, the pictures that you are seeing are his nieces and also another young doctor, a female doctor is to come over here. And one of the diaries of the nieces has been published. And the diary says openly that there was a lot of sexual perversion in Mahatma Gandhi. So she would write the things like one of these, the doctor, the Pramila, that she wrote, the niece wrote over there, that when he went for his bath, he would take one of us and Pramila Didi along with it in the bath. He will make us change and be naked. And in that naked situation, he would be bathing, we would be bathing him. And he would be looking at us and touching us. And in the night also, he would make us sleep without our clothes and he would be fondling us and touching us. This is a sexual perversion, isn't it? Absolute, very strong. You see, this is what we call pravritti. There is a word in Sanskrit called pravritti. Pravritti means your inner makeup. It has nothing to do with your political views, all right? Nothing to do with your good or evil. This is your inner makeup. Some people are dirty in this matter. Some people are perverse. And some people are not, all right? So that is the thing. So Gandhi definitely was there, He needed that titillation all the time. He needed that perverse thing all the time, okay? There was a huge amount of sexual perversion where he's concerned. Yes, Venus is with Chandra. There is a Papakartari between Saturn and Sun, all right? You can check these things. Most of the horoscopes, as I said, they were all. Now look at this horoscope of Jawaharlal Nehru. They are, truly, truly kindred soul. Jawaharlal Nehru also has Shukra in Tula and Moon in Karka. But for him, it is Karka Lagna with Shukra in the 4th house. He also has very strong Shukra and Chandra. So again, a very strong Chandra with as if Shukra is in the 10th house. Now for Jawaharlal Nehru, that moment, he lost his wife at a very young age because of tuberculosis. And after that, Jawaharlal Nehru was a very charming man. He was a ladies' man. He was suave. He was a charmer. So he had one relationship after the other, including Padmaja Naidu, who was the erstwhile governor of West Bengal. He had a live-in relationship with Padmaja Naidu for many years. I don't know whether all of you are aware of this or not. But of course, what became very famous is his relationship with Edwina Mountbatten. Now, it is said that Lord Mountbatten turned a blind eye to it. And Lord Mountbatten's theory was that it is helping in the diplomacy. It is helping me in negotiating with the freedom movement. It is helping me to talk with them. So he felt it was to his benefit politically, as long as the head of the national movement of India was in love or having some sort of a relationship with his wife, Lady Edwina. Now, most people believe that this relationship was platonic. That we don't know. We can assume that it was platonic, but that was very much there. Okay. Again, you can see Papakartari between Mangal and Surya, and you can see that there is this, total blockage. There is Kalamrita Yoga, one of the Kala Yogas in the chart, and Chandra and Shukra are caught in it. So if you were an astrologer, you should have given him Om Gurave Nama to do 10 malas at least, which would have broken this Kala Yoga and rescued Chandra and Shukra, or give him a Devi mantra by which, maybe a Kamalatmika mantra, by which, and also Rahu's aspecting, Venus is aspected by Rahu and is in Papa Kartari with Mars and Sun. All right. In such a case, if we did the Kavalatmika sadhana, his Venus would have got purified. All right. We've done the first and the second, seventh house from Moon. Okay, now we are going to come to another two charts which are 10th from Moon. Now this is Jennifer O'Neill. Just like Zaza Gabor, Jennifer O'Neill, who was a Hollywood model and actor, Jennifer O'Neill was also married 9 times. All right, and the Tithi Lord itself is the Moon. Now, what happens when Moon is Venus is in the 10th house from Moon? When Venus is in the 10th house from Moon, we again put a cross on the 7th from Venus, which comes to Virgo, which means in effect, it's as if Venus is in 4th from the Moon. So also a lot of Jala. She married 9 times, lot of relationships. The Tithi Lord also itself is Chandra. All right. Any afflictions out there? No. As such, no afflictions. Venus is afflicted by Mars and has a Papakartari from Rahu and Sun. So you can see in most of these cases, which are kind of quite exceptional cases, Venus seems to be afflicted. All right, this is another chart of 10 from Chandra, and this is the thing of John F. Kennedy. Okay, now when you see John F. Kennedy, I talked to you about, also had a similar issue. He was very dashing, very debonair, the youngest president ever, the youngest president to even rule the electoral elections, but really not good at all where 7th house matters is concerned. All right. Again, I think maybe a Kambas Shukra under Papakartari from Mars and Ketu. Okay, and you can see there's a Grahamalika yoga starting from Mars and ending with Chandra. Shukra's caught in that, lot of things, and powerful Shukra these people are. So now you know that he was with Marilyn Monroe, but there were many others also. Very, very unscrupulous in this matter. Let's not get into that, but I think you have seen enough of charts relating to the Kendra from Moon. Now, we can take a little break. It's 6:30. We can take a little break. Do you want to do the whole section on the spiritual charts now? We can do that. So we can take a little break and we can come back in about 10 minutes and then do those horoscopes. Okay? Or do you want to continue those on another day? What do you want to do? Shall I do those, the whole spiritual section we are now getting into? Shall we do that now, or do you want me to do it on another day? Another day means probably it will have to be a weekday because from the next weekend, our SJC Junior Conferencing is starting. Yeah. Oh, okay. Most people want now, only send. Okay, yeah, I will do it now. So let's take a little break and come back. Otherwise, you will lose the, yeah, everybody wants it now except for Vivek. Vivek, if you're tired, you can listen to it later. So give me a little 10-minute break and I'll come back and start this next section. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I am so sorry. I had forgotten to stop the recording. Start recording. I'm really sorry. I forgot to put it off. All right. Back to action. So we are now going to talk about what happens when Venus is in Kona from the moon. Now, if you people have been staring at this lovely underwater scene, this has been given to me by Guruji. He had set this up, in Bava a few years earlier. I did a lot of talk on Shukra, Shukra Lagna, Shukramsha, these kind of things. So Guruji had helped me. I'm a bit technologically challenged. So he had got this picture for me and he had put it in as a section head in my theme. So this comes from him. So we said that the Kendra from Chandra is the full flow of water, right? Back and forth, the high flow. We examine quite a few charts. And as you know, that when we are examining horoscopes, we are usually taking, charts where Venus has really been afflicted in all those horoscopes you saw. And that's why they had such kind of experiences. Now, Kona is not really Dusthana. Dosthana positions from Chandra, Tamas Chandras. As you know, they give you Balanishta yogas, they give you health issues, they give you so many problems. Okay. But the Kona positions are also good positions, but not necessarily, it is not like a surge and back and flow of water. Here it is more like searching, mind is searching for jnana. Even in relationship, mind will be searching for jnana. Now, before I delve into this, there's one little point I forgot to mention to you. Remember, we talked about when Venus and Moon are in the first house, the effect you're getting is that of seventh house. Now, again, I want to go back to Chandra yogas with you. You remember there's something called Chandra Adhi Yoga. Chandra Adhi Yoga, right? A very important Chandra yoga. What does the word Adhi mean? Adhi means to increase, all right, to have much more, to increase. So Chandra Adhi Yoga means that you need to have the pure yoga. You need to have a planet in the 6th and the 7th and the 8th. So though the 6th and the 8th are Dusthanas, but when you have those benefic planets in all these three houses, Adhi, things increase, they multiply. So see, the focus is coming back on the 7th house. So that Adhi concept is there, that multiplication of too much of water, too much of desire. Keep that in mind. And why is it Adhi Yoga? Because it is 7th house, which is the root of desire. All right, that's why I told you I will correlate with PJC Chandra Yogas here for you. Now, let us look into some horoscopes of Venus in something very, very interesting. There are about a whole bunch of 5 or 6 horoscopes that I'm going to now study. All these horoscopes have Shukra in the 5th from Chandra. All of them. All right. Swami Vivekananda. I can just show you the names if we're doing the charts in detail. Bhakti Vedanta, Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Chandrasekhar Saraswati, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All right. So you can see again, Rudolfo, can you please mute yourself? This constant disturbance is really bothering me. I'm really going to make one of you a class monitor next time to ensure that this doesn't happen. Thank you. And no more popping up of strange comments in between unless we are discussing. After I finish, we'll close it. We can have discussion for as long as we want. And then, of course, we continue that in our own group. So all these names, as you go through, you will see that they are all Sangha Gurus. It's very interesting. So what did we talk about? We said that when Shukra is in the 5th from Chandra, we will have to mark the 7th house from Shukra, right? And the 7th house from Shukra here is Karka. So what happens when Shukra is 5th from Chandra? The effect that real effect that you are getting is as if Shukra is 11th from Chandra. And this is what I was discussing with you, the 11th from Chandra. So Chandra Vriddhi Yoga All right, the Chandra Vriddhi Yoga says that if you have a natural benefit, even a single natural benefit in the 11th house from Chandra, it is fantastic, Raja. You will get everything. It is absolutely fantastic. So maybe this is absolutely fantastic, which it was, because Swamiji did attain what he did, right? He did attain his life's dream, his purpose. All these people's chart, their life, their dream, life's purpose, they have all fulfilled it, isn't it? So why is the 11th house very good for Raja Yogas but not good for, say, Shukra related matters? Because from the Manas, remember when I started my talk, what did I say? We have to see how is the mind perceiving Shukra. Mind is perceiving Shukra as an 11th from it. And this perception of Shukra as 11th from it, that is neither a Kona nor a Kendra. It is a Upachaya Bhava. It is a Hara Bhava. So the mind is doing hara to that love relationship path. So though it may be very good for, say, Raja Yoga and profession and things like that, or name and fame, but where love and relationship is concerned, the mind is doing hara to it. Hara sthana. Totally out here. Okay. Now, another interesting thing, fact you will notice is that all these people's charts whom we are going to see, they are all Sangha Gurus. They have all founded huge spiritual organizations and empires which are still running. All right. So what is the importance of it? Let's just do the charts and then we'll talk about that. Here you see Swami Vivekananda, Dhanu Lagna. All right, Shukra in the 2nd house, Moon in the 10th house. There is a Simhasana Yoga, etc., etc. But from Chandra Lagna, you can see here it is Shukra beautifully placed in Karka, but 11 from Chandra. And what was he? He was the founder of the Ramakrishna Mission and Mutt. So you see his guru Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, he did not find his own mission and mutt. He was the guru, he was a holy man, he was a yogi. But it was Swamiji who actually did it. He went abroad, he collected funds, he set it up. He bought the land in Belur Mutt, he set up the codes. They only went and got their sannyasa diksha. He envisaged that there shall be a female mutt and a male mutt. This shall be the codes of conduct for the mutt. This shall be the code of conduct for the inmates. All these things were given by him. He was the founder of it. All right, founder of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission. So what does it make Swamiji? It makes him Sangha Guru. He is Sangha Guru. All right, he did it in order to put forward his preach his master's teachings. His master didn't set it up, he set it up. So remember this Sangha Guru, a leader. Now, why does a leader come in at this point? And you must thank Sonal Sachdev for it, because Sonal, it was an absolutely brilliant point that you had raised about Yanavanta Yoga. This is actually more for all Jaimini students. You know that in Yanavanta Yoga, beyond the apparent meaning of mundane matters, all right, beyond the apparent meaning of having a lot of vehicles and transports and travels, the real meaning is not just an owner of vehicle, but the real meaning is that of a charioteer. And who is the charioteer but one who is leading and showing you the spiritual path, just like Sri Krishna, who was the charioteer to Arjun, but gave him the spiritual path by giving him the Bhagavad Gita. That is the ideal, true Yanavanta Yoga. So these people as Sangha Gurus is the Yanavanta Yoga. Have you seen that? How the Jaimini principle is following out here. The Yanavanta Yoga is manufactured following out here. They are Yanavantis, true. They are leaders, spiritual leaders. They are founders of mutts and missions. They are spreaders of organization. The whole world you have branches of Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission, right? That is Yanavanta Yoga, spiritual leader, showing direction, right? So all of you should thank Sonal for raising this issue. And apart from that, from Parashara Yoga, Yes, it's very beneficial. You shall have fulfillment of all your Raja Yogas. But as what the mind is seeing a Harasthana. So Shukra with its Karakatva relationship has become Hara. That is not there. That part of life is Hara. Gaya. It's a dead hole. Are you following? Come to the next chart. Abhay Charanamrita Bhakti Vedanta Swami, whom you know better as Prabhupada. Prabhupada, same thing. What was his position? His position was founder of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, or ISKCON, another very well-known organization, pan-global, centers all over the world, temples all over the world, just like the Ramakrishna mission. That is also a Yanavanta yoga, isn't it? Moon in Taurus. Okay, Venus in fifth from it. Where does it map into? The 11th house. So moon is exalted, Shukra is exalted. Such purity of thought. All right, such purity of thought. Now, I don't remember what his Tithi Lord was, but I think does anybody remember which Tithi he was born in? Because I think he's either a Sun or a Jupiter Tithi, because that is conjunct Ketu. And this example I had used again in my Tithi workshop. So very interesting, Prabhupada never thought about coming into renouncing Navami Tithi, right? Thanks, Nathan. Because I remember the Tithi Lord was conjunct Ketu. I use that example. Tithi Lord is conjunct Ketu. Sun is a Tithi Lord. Now, he was a man who was married. He was a man who had businesses, his family businesses, multiple family businesses. He had no intentions of taking sannyas. And no, I think the Navami Tithi is correct, Sonal. I have Navami Tithi in my thing. So, right, now what was I saying? Yeah. So now what happened when he got married? I have to, I'm completing 60 this year. So I need to collect my thoughts a bit. So he was married, he had businesses of his own, and he had no intention or thoughts of sannyasa. Now, when he got married, he was not attracted to his wife. And he himself writes, that, she's a very good lady, but, but I don't know why, I'm just not interested in her, this, that. So, I should marry again. In those days, two marriages were kind of allowed legally. So he seriously started contemplating marrying again, because he thought that he was not interested in his wife, that maybe he was not attracted to her, that's why. Then his father, who was a very great Krishna devotee, persuaded him that he should not get married again, and that's not good for his spiritual life. So he did not get married again. But he did not realize why he was not attracted to her, because of this Tithi Lord, who's also the 9th Lord, so strong in its own sign, conjoined Ketu. All right, because of that, his mind, unknowing to him, was actually towards Brahmacharya. Unknowingly, he was not finding women. He thought maybe it's this women I'm not attracted to, so if I marry another one, I'll be attracted to. Probably if he had that other women also, he would not have been attracted to. So anyway, he was married. He had 3 children. Much later, he came in touch with the Gaudiya Vaishnava schools. And then, he had a dream that his guru is saying that he must take sannyasa because he needs to go abroad and establish all these centers and temples. So when he had this dream, he didn't like it. He said, no, I have no intentions of taking sannyasa. But eventually he did. And when he did, he just did it because, his guru gave that calling. And when he did, even then when he did, he was at the mosque thinking, okay, when am I going to go abroad? When are you going to send me abroad? All these things were happening. But much later, the whole calling that he had to do the translation, that he had to spread the Mahamantra throughout the world, he had to establish that, he has to go and rescue a lot of these fallen souls out there. All those things came much later. All right, again a Sangha Guru, Again, what a beautiful Jnanavanta, right? Have you got it? You can see here, the Venuses are not afflicted. Did you see all those horoscopes we saw? What horrible Venuses! Did you see it? What affliction! From Zaza Gabor to Aishwarya Rai to Salman Khan, what affliction of Shukra! Bad affliction of Shukra. Everything was involved in it. But here you see Shukra is not really afflicted. Did you see that? Now, come to the next chart. Jagat Guru Chandrasekharendra Saraswati, Maha Swamigal. He was known as the sage of Kanchi. That's why he was called Mahaperyava. Mahaperyava means he is the sage of Kanchi. Amongst all Shankaracharyas, he was absolutely the walking encyclopedia. What a very, very great man. He was the 68th Shankaracharya, all right, known as the Jagadguru Chandrasekharendra Saraswati. Because my template is not allowing, I'm writing the short forms. Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Mahaswamigal. All right. Again, you can see Shukra, Chandra, both debilitated. How beautiful. In his case, exalted. In his case, debilitated. Chandra Lagna is Scorpio. You can see Shukra is exalted here, but becomes debilitated when it comes. See this, so much of this sadhu yogas in his chart. See that Venus in the 8th house with the 7th Lord Rahu. Absolutely end of marriage, right over there. Huh? See that yoga. See that axis of Saturn Ketu with Rahu Venus. What high tapasvi yoga. Very, very high tapasvi yoga. Of course, this combination that you see in the 10th house, that is because he is the Jagat Guru. He is the Shankaracharya. So that combination has to be there in the 10th house for him to hold that seat. Chandra is in Digbala, but it is debilitated. Again, Jnanavanta Yoga. Do you know his life story? His life story was that he was, his uncle was a Shankaracharya. And once the Shankaracharya, not who was the uncle, but another Shankaracharya, had come to visit near his village, and he was a small boy then. And then, he died. And then his uncle became his maternal uncle, mother's brother, I think, became the Shankaracharya. And right after that, he died very soon. And when he died very soon, then suddenly these Mutt people came to his village and they told him and his mother that, no, come with us in the bullock cart, you must come over there. And his mother thought that probably he was going there to, handle the situation. And then in the bullock cart, they told him that, it's likely that you will never come back. They actually had kidnapped him. They couldn't tell him that. They were taking him to anoint him as the next Shankara. And when he heard that, his mother actually was the one who needed to be comforted. And all Shankara did, all Chandrasekhar and the Saraswati did, he said he sat in the back of the bullock cart and he just sat down in a meditative posture, closed his eyes and just said, Ram, 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 rescue me. He was a great devotee of Rama. Once he went there, at the tender age of 5 or 7, he was anointed as Jagat Guru. And then there was a caretaker unit, all right, a caretaker unit which actually did managed the Peetham. And while he was sent off to study the Shastras and Vedas and what a Pandit he was, they said that he was a walking Shiva. That's what they said. He was a walking Shiva. All right. And so knowledgeable, exceptionally knowledgeable, exceptionally spiritual. Okay. Again, Jnanavanta Yoga, showing the path. That's why when he walked, people would say, Jai Jai Shankara, Hare Shankara. It was actually referring to him. They say he was like Shiva. People thought he was literally like Shiva incarnate when they went. All right. So head of a Sangha again. Did you see Swami Vivekananda? All right. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada? All right. Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Mahaswamigal? All right. All of them. Top Sangha Gurus. What are their organizations? Completely well known and thing. So Sonal, you saw the manifestation of your Jnanavanta Yoga. Look at this. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, Makar Lagna. Yes, Shukra is afflicted by Sun and Rahu and Ketu. But you can see that Shukra is in the 5th from Chandra. So again, it's coming in the 3rd. What was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi famous for? Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was famous for establishing the entire TM movement, the movement for transcendental meditation. And those of you who don't know, he had centers globally, all over the world. And the centers are still there. It was very famous in the 70s where people from the Beatles and everybody are part of it. But it still flourishes. Many of our Serbian students, all people like Zoran, even Branka, Željko, all these people, they came into Jyotish via their TM family. All our Serbian and Slovenian communities of Jyotish are all TM family. We have a lot of TM people out there in America as well, in Fairfield, Iowa. All right, many of you know Jay Boyle, who provides us stones. Jay Boyle stays over there. He's also a very strong TM movement. Michael Bamas, who set up the Someshwara temple. So the TM movement, Dr. Andrew Foss, absolutely very closely to Maharishi. So all these, the organization is still running. The TM centers across the world are still running. All right. There was a name of the organization, but everybody preferred to call it the TM movement. That is running all over. Now, Sri Ravi Shankar was also a part of this and was a Shishya of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And later on, he made a break and he formed the Art of Living, and the Art of Living Foundation and TM actually separated, and that was a separate thing. Okay, now let's look at the next horoscope. This is the horoscope of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, again, as we take Chandra Lagna, you can see Shukra is in 5th from Chandra. Again, you see what a beautiful Shukra. And what was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's path that he showed? Can any one of you know? He was the founder of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. All this, whether it's ISKCON, whether it's so many other centers of Vaishnavism which are there in Bengal, he was the father of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. There was Vaishnavism throughout India, right? There was Vrindavan and there was Dwarka, so many other places. But he established Gaudiya. What does Gaudiya Vaishnavism mean? That Vaishnavism which pertains to the region of Gaudiya. And what is Gaudiya Desha? Gaudiya Desha means Bengal. That's where I hail from, by the way. So my grandfather was a Gaudiya Vaishnava. So people, they are Bengali Vaishnavism. That's what he wanted to call Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So he established that. And he gave the world the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That was the root. He created that and he gave. And he said that in Kali Yuga, all you have to do is Nama Mantra Japa. Because if you see the Mahamantra is basically the Nama Mantra, isn't it? Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. What is this Nama Mantra? There is no bija, etc. in it. He said in Kali Yuga, that's what you need to do. So people sang it. Of course, he introduced the whole thing of Kirtan, of ecstatic bhakti. Now again, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a complete disbeliever. He believed in Shastra. His father was a Pandit, the village that he was in. His father was a Pandit, and he went to the Pathshala, the toll, and he started studying all the Shastras and Vedas and everything, and he was brilliant. He was so brilliant at the tender age of early 20s, he became the foremost Pandit. Nyayayika, he was a top Nyayayika, top grammarian. All right, top Nyayayika, top grammarian. Incidentally, Chandrasekharananda Saraswati also became a top Nyayayika and a top grammarian. Absolutely top. And if you remember, if you've seen movies about Shankaracharya and how Shankaracharya, or Adi Shankara, that is, debating with Mandar, and all those people, all those debating with Vidyaranya Swami, Madhavacharya, all those things that are happening. And here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did exactly the same, but he did not believe in God and bhakti and all. For him, it was a thing, okay, have a debate with me on Nyaya, have a debate with me on grammar. Nobody could beat him. Even the topmost Pandit of the region was like not worth the nail of his toe. But then he had a series of rather unhappy incidents. He lost both wives. One wife went in snake bite, and a lot of unhappy things happened. He went to Vrindavan, and when he went off to Vrindavan, he got Diksha. He got the Diksha in the Gopala Krishna mantra. That changed his life. You people often ask what Diksha does. Diksha is not a big yagya or a big havan ceremony. No. Diksha is a spark which the Guru can light in your life. Would have just by the whispering of the mantra in your ear. You can sit like this, like we are sitting, and whisper the mantra. The Guru has that tejas. That spark will be lit in you. Is a lighting of the flame from my Atma to your Atma. I'm lighting a spark. That is what spiritual Diksha is. All right. So he got, and obviously his Guru must have been very enlightened that he could do. He became he became totally changed. And when he returned back to Navadvip, all the Pandits saw what has happened to our Nimai, what has happened to Gauranga. He's totally changed. He suddenly started talking about bhakti and belief in God through bhakti. And he took bhakti then to such a level. He introduced the concept of kirtana, that singing hymns and bhajans in praise of the Lord through dance, through playing the instruments. Then he also took it to another level of ecstatic dance. All right. So see such a change in him. Again, establisher of the entire school of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. If he hadn't done that, there would have been no ISKCON today. There would have been no other mutts who are there today of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. All right. And the giver of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Jnanavanta Yoga. Agreed? Sangha Gurus. So now you see, there's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is Maharishi Mahishogi with TM movement. There's Jagadguru Chandrasekharendra Saraswati, the 68 Shankaracharya. There is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. There is Swami Vivekananda. Each one of them are Sangha Gurus. And they are Sangha Gurus because this is also for me a Jnanavanta Yoga. And I would have never opened my mouth of this if dear Sonal hadn't raised that question. Sometimes, when I see this, I get goosebumps. Just look at this. And I mean, when I was doing the research for this, it just completely, I was completely shaken. And I told Guruji later that, I've been landing up doing a lot of research, even with my Tithi workshops, and I've got these huge Word docs where I've just done research and research and research on charts. Oof. That's why Guruji wanted me to present. Now we're going to see some Dusthana placement from homes. Thakur Sri Ramakrishna, Ucha Shukra, placed second from Chandra. So when it's placed second from Chandra, now we have to mark the 7th house from Shukra, right? So we will put a cross on Virgo. And what is Virgo from Chandra? But the 8th house. Aha! So if Shukra is second from Chandra, it comes 8 from Chandra result. Chandrashtama result, 8 from Chandra. Sadhu Yoga. In his case, Kumbha, the Chandra Lagna is also the Rashi Lagna. So 8 from Lagna, 8 from Chandra. The mind is viewing Shukra as a Sadhu. 8th house from Lagna Shukras, there we call it a Sadhu Shukra, right? People have problem in getting married. Now, what was his most famous saying? Now, I've mentioned this to you people many times. His most famous saying was that Kamini Kanchan Borjita Kurve. Kamini Kanchan. Kamini means women, sensuality, sexuality wise. Kamini, desires from Kama. And Kanchan means gold, meaning money and women. The 2 Rajas planet, Venus and Mercury, you should do sacrifice 100% if you want to be a sadhu. Now, the most interesting thing of Sri Ramakrishna was, if you read his works, he was unmitigated in his words that if you really want to achieve the path of salvation, you have to take sannyasa, and there is no other way but to take sannyasa. And then, of course, he says that it doesn't mean that you can cannot achieve enlightenment, and you cannot achieve salvation. You cannot achieve spirituality while being a grihi. And he gave. And again, this is a story I told. He says, how should you be in a grihi? Like the maid servant in your house who's an eye or a nanny to your child. So that child, that nanny is looking after your baby, but that nanny's mind is in her village thinking of her own child. So you should be like that. Look after your whole family, but your mind should be there in a different loka on the divine. That is Vairagya at that high level. Who can achieve that technique? So, what a rejection of Shukra out here. But you see, his seventh lord Venus is exalted. So he was on pen and paper married because, he became a priest, and he was, he is a Sangha Guru, but he was not a establisher of a Math and a mission. He never said, ki mere naam pe, on my name, start a Math and a mission. He didn't say that, right? He was a yogi. He was a mystic. He was a holy man. He was the mad priest of Dakshineshwar. His devotees considered him to be an avatar. He was a sadhaka. He would always from childhood go into samadhi all the time. All right. So the point is that his family members got like a bit psyched at his this spirituality, and they quickly got a 9-year-old girl called Sharada, and they married him off. What is the point of marrying him off? Married him off, he was not interested in Sharada. Sharada was in a village. But then when Sharada came of age, she said, I'm going to go to Dakshineshwar. So she came to Dakshineshwar, and she also led a spiritual life, staying in a different building. But on Kalpataru Divas, on one day, he worshipped Sharada as Shorashi. That is the Tripura Mahavidya. As Shorashi, with the Shorashi Upachar Puja in the Bagbajar mother's house. Now, he was initiated from Bhairavi Brahmani. He was initiated from Vaishnava Parampara in Vrindavan. He was initiated from Totapuri Maharaj. So from Totapuri, which is the Advaita line, Ramakrishna was associated, or Totapuri was associated with the Sringeri Math. And in the Sringeri Math, the residing Shakti is Tripura or Shorashi. That is why he worshipped Sharada as Shorashi. All right. I have now not even gone into Dithi lords and stuff out here. You people can see it. Now see the next chart of Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. That is also Shukra in second from an exalted moon. Again, 8th house Shukra, total Brahmacharya. He didn't advocate when he separated from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, after Maharishi's death, of course. When he separated out from there and he started Art of Living Foundation, he was a yoga guru also and very deep in meditation. At that time, he said that I think people who were staying with me cannot maintain sannyas. So he advocated brahmacharya. So they were all brahmacharis over there. They are all wearing white over there and they are brahmacharis. All right. Again, mapping into the 8th house of here, Shukra. High yogis. Aditya, dear, you asked what is a Dusthana. You see, they are high yogis. They are not... Now, we can also see Venus in 6th from moon. What happens if Venus in 6th from moon? Right? Then, here you can see from Chandra Lagna, moon is here, Venus is in 6th from Chandra. Let's mark the 7th house from Shukra. That is Taurus. What is Taurus? The 12th ho gaya, 12th from Chandra. So, if Venus is in 6th from Chandra, the result, high point of result, the high point of desire is 12th from moon. And if Venus is in 2nd from Chandra, the high point of desire is 8th from moon. So look at this Dusthanas. Here again, Satya Sai Baba. You see it. Another chart. Ramana Maharishi. Okay. Rejecting Venus altogether. Guruji has this combination, Shukra from there. Guruji, though married, rejects relationships. I'll tell you how. It's a very peculiar thing. Like when we are watching movie, which we do every night, a moment there is a hint of romance. And I'm not talking about dirty scenes and sexuality, which of course he doesn't like, but a hint of romance. Even if it's a movie of 1950, there's a hint of romance. He fast forwards those scenes. He says, what a waste of time. He fast forwards those scenes. He forget physicality. He doesn't even like, actor and an actress looking into the eyes of each other. Some beautiful love story, he doesn't like it. Unless it's Antony and Cleopatra, because a lot of war is involved over there. Total rejection. Complete rejection of the Shukra. All right. So this huge rejection of Shukra is there. So you can see this very much in all these horoscopes. Now with this, I come to a end of the presentation. Now you can, unmute yourself, and if you want to ask, you can do that. And then, of course, we can continue it in the group later. All right. So everybody's kind of stunned, and I know many of you who will have Kendra, Chandra, who will be busy to find out that it doesn't work. Okay, so you can ask all your questions in the group. It's been an intense session because we are discussing a mind and we are discussing Shukra, which is our Ojas. So the whole thing is, as Guruji repeatedly said, that we must constantly look at Chandra Lagna. So though placements in Vivid Yogas, you will learn how a single natural benefic intent from Chandra, like a Jupiter or a Venus, gives you Amala Yoga, a pure mind, and it's very good. But if it is Venus, how is the moon looking at Venus? See the layered way. You now have to analyze horoscopes in a layered way. You cannot give, many people say, why can't you just enlist formula in year one? You cannot enlist formula in year one. Would you have been able to understand these layered understanding? That yes, a single benefit in 11th from Chandra, Venus suppose is there, is giving Raja Yoga, that's a Chandra Vriddhi Yoga, but at the same time, because it's Shukra, moon is doing Hara to that Shukra, where love and relationship is concerned, and it is a Jnana thing because it's 5th house, and it is giving you a Yanavanda kind of thing, so you also have Sangha Gurus out there, when the other yoga, of course, in the horoscopes of the Sangha Gurus, you have other combinations of Vairagya, of Parivrajya, all those things are there. Don't just say that I have this combination and why am I not a Sangha Guru? At PJC 5, you should not be asking these questions at all. If I hear you asking, it's a no-no. All right, it's a total no-no. I'm going to be a bit strict from now on. I've decided with you all. All this kind of thing is not there. Oh, I have Chandra and Shukra Kendra, but I am not like that. Okay, examine your chart properly. Okay, these things you can do. So these Chandra Kendras are very important. Single natural benefic, Venus in 10th from moon. Oh, single natural benefic, that's Amala Yoga. But it is Shukra. So Chandra will reject the Shukra. Not reject. Chandra will not reject. Chandra will multiply the Shukra, where all this Shukra related love and relationship is concerned. So read the horoscope at different levels. Here we are saying how is the mind rejecting Venus or accepting Venus, reveling in Venus or finding Sukha in Venus, or finding solitariness in Venus, or finding dismalness in Venus, right? Alongside, study all afflictions to Shukra, 7th Lord, 7th house Tithi, and study all Parivrajya yogas, Vairagya yogas, Tapasvi yogas, all those things. Along with it, you sign what is the mind, along with is how the mind is treating Venus. Okay, so with that, I think I'm a little bit exhausted. So with that, I'll take your leave, and all questions, charts, as many charts as you can, questions, you all should start discussing with each other. Okay, please do. So namaste and thank you very much.